G'day, welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I want to do a video on some of the, one particular question I get with this, the 4AW school or the long range precision shooting, ELR education classes, in the way of a question I get quite commonly on that. And it's relevant to how to get to a certain distance, how to get out further. People who have started down this journey trying to get into ELR shooting, and a common question is, we can shoot to this far, but I've gone out to an area and I can't get further. We can't see any hits. Me and some mates have been out and can't see some hits, or I've been out and I can't get to this point, or the bullet must be losing stability, it's all over the place, I can't make any sense of going out past, whether it's 1,000 yards to a mile, or it's 1,200 yards to 1,500 yards, or it's 2,000 yards or 2,500 yards, or it gets to a point where getting to the next level is tricky. It doesn't make any sense. And there is some obvious things for that, but they're not obvious until you've figured out what's obvious and what's not. In the way of finding a place to shoot, which is another question that's there, that's very much about your particular area. It isn't a straightforward thing to go and do whatsoever. If you are an urban dweller, a city folk, and you want to come out and do this sort of stuff, then really getting involved with a club and doing that sort of stuff is the best way to do it. Farmers and people, listen, knowing people, all that sort of stuff, it's got its own complexities. And I've been through videos as to how to sort of try and address that problem, but not straightforward. This is really more about you have property, you have the area or an area you can shoot, and then trying to use that and make sense of it. A really common one would be to the level of, in this area, you can shoot out to, let's say, 800 yards, and then going past that point is really complicated. You can't see your hits, you can't see things. It's generally past that point, probably more like you can shoot out to 1,200 yards and you're trying to get to a mile and you can't get there. You can't see anything. And there's the obvious bits start with, to a degree, I suppose two things are very relevant. One is the actual terrain you're talking about. The moment you've got really flat area, what looks very flat, and you're trying to shoot into really flat and just going out further, that is much more complicated than it might appear. You only need a slight dip in the ground, and you cannot discern that dip where the ground disappears, where the dirt just disappears. You can't see it. You might think you can see it, look through your scope, with your eyes, look through your scope, look through your spotting scope, and it looks like you can see everything. But once it gets to long distance, unless the ground has got a constant rise to it, where you can actually see the whole thing, you only need a little bit of a wibble in it, and you will miss a spot. And that's actually something that certainly caught us out in the early days. It'll catch everyone out. It looks like you can see everything, but there's a 200 yards or a 400 yard space that you can't actually see because the ground is flat enough to where it hides the undulation. And that there, quite commonly, I've certainly been there shooting and just can't see anything. Or what you are seeing is sort of all over the place. What you're actually seeing is where the bullet has bounced and you're not seeing the impact. So this is actually making sure that you have the type of terrain where, at least for the area you're landing onto, and well short of it, you've got a constant gentle rise all the way up. Constant gentle rise, then you can see where all the impacts are. So that's the first clue, which is very much more in the fashion of, we've got this beautiful flat area and we should be able to see everything, and you actually can't. That's answered in some places by, you see guys who build towers and things that they shoot from a tower so they can see this. It isn't what people think is you need to be up so the bullet falls down so gravity can help it. That's not how bullets works. That's not how physics works at all. I'll do other videos about that. But whether you're shooting slightly up or slightly down within a 5-degree radius, so that's a fair bit, 5 degrees, there is absolutely no difference to the shots whatsoever. Gravity doesn't work like something rolling down a hill, or bullets don't work like being pushed downhill. But being able to see that all that area is a huge deal. So that means that shooting across a valley, shooting from a hill, into the flat, in some cases from the flat into a hill. That's all got that same sort of valley thing, so you can actually see everything. And then you can walk your way up, because that's a very important detail of going to, okay, 1,200 yards to a mile, it's only another 500 yards, that should be easy. Not necessarily. There's a lot more to it. If you can work your way up step by step, then you can verify data, you can make sense of things. You can do it without data. You just keep on dialing a bit more and you can see where you're going, and you can gradually get to that place. So that's really important. But the next and more important thing is light. Light is everything when it comes to ELR. People think you can answer it with a target indicator, so a flashing light in your target, or you can answer it with a forward and back camera, that sort of stuff. None of that matters until you're hitting the target. None of that matters until you're right there. So everything else has to be done with the way you are spotting for it. Whether you're spotting yourself through your own rifle scope, or you've got another person using another rifle scope, or you've got a proper spotting scope, all of these things involve light. Light position is everything. So one of the things you see with our shooting, it's always done first thing in the morning with the light behind us, so we can see very, very well. Everything from the target to the clarity of seeing where the dust spikes are, everything is highlighted because we basically have a spotlight behind us. And more than just having a spotlight behind us, we also have the best conditions. So we've got a fair bit of wind all the time, but in most cases you have a little less wind first thing. You're likely to have less mirage. You can have lots of mirage then too, but that is far less likely to have a boiling mirage. And mirage isn't just about making it awkward to see. Mirage will actually move your target around. You don't realize that the target isn't necessarily going to stay in the same place when the light is being bent by the mirage. So mirage is a big deal. So early in the day or late in the evening, you'll see some of if you look more through our channel, you'll find that there's sometimes when it's really complicated, we really can't see things. Trying to shoot at 22 at long range, trying to shoot at extremely long range, go out to the 5Ks, that sort of stuff, and those really long shots. Or just where it is, in some cases, just trying to figure out what's going on with this new round. And back when we were doing things at the beginning of what we're up to, 10, 13 years ago, trying to go out past a certain point, really complicated. One of the tricks can be shooting into the sun. You'd think that makes things harder to see. Well, it does make some details harder to see, but what's really easy to see, if you've got any sort of dry conditions, or even really wet conditions where you got splash, if you get any sort of splash where the ground is lifting up when the bullet hits, particularly in dry situations, then having the light behind it really makes it stand out. Really makes it obvious as to what you're seeing. Sometimes you might use that not just as the exploratory thing. How is this? Where is this actually going? What's going on here? So it does come down to actually shooting east-west has a real advantage, or in that neck of the woods, has a real advantage for having either the light behind you at one time of the day or the light in front of you at one time of the day. It does, interestingly and inconveniently for most people who want to, I suspect this, I don't know this, but you want to go out and have a shoot for the day, so you get organised, get the mates together and everyone gets going, and a nice early start, so you're 7:30, head on out there, and you've got a couple hour drive and you're there and you set up, and then you want to shoot around lunchtime in the action tide of the day. Literally the worst time to do ELR. The middle of the day is literally the worst time to shoot ELR. Shadows are in the wrong place, everything's in the wrong place, for the light's coming from the wrong angle, everything's wrong. You can still make it work on occasions, but it's the hardest time. When that light is low, when that sun is low in the sky, both behind you and in front of you, that has the shadows where you can use things, the highlights, all those bits and pieces. It all works because of light position. So it might mean you might have a really good piece of dirt, but it's pointing north-south. It's only going to work in some times, and it doesn't have those advantages. So those are probably the two things I would say are the real tricks. There's all sorts of other stuff about obviously the type of dirt you're shooting into, that sort of stuff. The understanding, I suppose, fundamentally that out at, once you go past 1,200, 1,500 yards, you simply don't have good vision. Nothing creates it. It's not a better scope creates it. The air starts to get in the road. The light starts to do weird things. You can get to a certain level, and good equipment certainly helps, but it doesn't need to be super equipment to get to a point where it works. And that super equipment doesn't make it better to see when you don't know where it's landing. Because yes, you will find that where you may be used to 2 MOA or 4 MOA discovery shot, where you have a 20 MOA discovery shot or 30 MOA discovery shot, and that might mean that it's literally not in the same place that you even think you're aiming. There's a fair bit to it. It becomes simple once you understand this, but terrain, the shape of your terrain, the style of the dirt you're shooting into, the time of year, all that sort of stuff. So like I said, dusty works a lot better. And where the light is, so time of day, are super relevant details to taking this next step. Anyway guys, that's that one there, trying to keep them short. That's that one for today. I hope that helps, and I hope that it certainly will be one of the problems that some of those people are running into. Anyway guys, thanks for checking in. We'll catch you next time.